and then this is on your back looking up at the ceiling, and then this is from the corners, so the camera is literally sitting behind this bucket shooting at a diagonal. And so, you know, I suddenly could create a shape, and then, because a lot of other things we see through photographs, so, you know, but suddenly when you can walk through it, you have all these different viewpoints. So you suddenly, you know, it gives more choice. You know, some people look at a Rodin and like say like that's you know, this is the best part. You know, some people will walk around and be like, that's the best part. And now I've given so many options that everyone can have a best part. And then, you know, this slide, the black and light, same thing. You know, just playing around with the visual and like what light can do and the seductive nature of light, and just, you know, really create something that maybe hasn't been seen before or is referential. I mean, it's not a quest that I go and like, you know, I want to, you know, reinvent the wheel, but I want to take the wheel and present it in a new light that might, you know, be considerate of where it came from, but also go somewhere completely new where it would have never gone before. This is a light painting that actually is the twinkle bulbs from Christmas, the round ones, just taken out of the box and put into a box with a diffuser and plugged in. So literally these spots go in and out, and it's completely random based on how fast and the chemical composition in the bulb and the metallurgy of the switch that's built into the bulb. So it's like random chaos, but completely contained. This is the same bulbs, and then there's that. And then, you know, you get to walk around it, so then because of the perspective, you get much more of a innate, or a depth of field that you don't get in painting and certain sculpture that is designed to be very frontal or very, well, not say structural, but just, you know, it has so many points. You know, it has a front, a middle, and an end kind of thing. And so, and these are some of the other recent. This is from St. Louis and the white flags. And this is where I was able to get color, but I only was able to get color because it was donated. So I was like, hey, great, green. I had no choice, but, you know, it worked out. And then this was in preparation for the Pulitzer piece, kind of outdoor, and friends of mine have a bar, so I put it up in the back to kind of make sure that, like, because a lot of these pieces also, everything you see in there is an idea of something that I believe will work. But until I build it, I don't know. I just figure, again, if I take a small enough step and put those in a row, that it should make something fairly complex, but, you know, sometimes things don't work out the way you planned, and I've been pretty lucky so far. And these are also similar to the chairs that are in there. Then I took this piece and wanted to build upon, and also having this opportunity here, I really wanted to take those things and kind of give them a twist and screw them up a little bit more. And this just some images I think I threw in here of just things that excite me. I mean, we were building the scaffolding, and suddenly being inside a grid work, being able to have a perspective on it was really interesting to me. And then this is kind of building this giant 32 by 32 by 24 foot on an 8-foot grid sculpture for the Pulitzer Foundation, which this piece took 3 weeks. Just this one piece. And there was only 2 of us. Really hot weather, which I failed to forget, but everyone keeps reminding me. Andrew keeps reminding me. It was really hot, but I was too stressed out to give heat any of my attention. But again, you know, this was like, you know, the challenges of an outdoor space, and like, so what do I do? I want to make something that has an impact and, you know, so like it was a very flat field, so there's buildings around, and so I started thinking about, well, I need something that literally is the size of a building to compete with this open space that's around it, because it's on a field that's about 150 feet by 150 feet. And so make something that actually fits in space, because, I mean, for me, that's this, coming here, I saw the gallery, and I was like, okay, like we can do a couple pieces and kind of be able to do more, because I think one piece wouldn't be enough also for, in that sense, the attention span. Like, I mean, it'd be nice, but then you're seeing the same thing over and over again, and I thought it was important to really try a couple new things, but also build on things I've done in the past. And this was, also a beginning step for another piece that's in there, using mirrors in the buckets to really play with space. So actually this part where that cut is where the mirror is, and then this is the actual sculpture. And like on this one, it's right, the connection, this is where the link is. But so suddenly, being able to see also the bottom side of something. I mean, you're so used to seeing things, when you stand in the front of a mirror, you see it from a frontal point, but then when you place one down or up, it suddenly expands your viewpoint and eye line in a way that is new and inviting, and also in the piece that is in the exhibition of visceral paradigm. The thing is, I built a pyramid upside down because I thought that would have a really strong impact. But then I also I'd been doing these drawings when I was in Salina, because I came across the fluorescent tubes, which I'd just been starting to use in last August, and thought it would be really amazing if you could stack two pyramids on top of each other. And then there's height restrictions, so like, well, let's use a mirror. I mean, it's also a lot less work. But but then you have this great perspective, because I mean, the way the mirror is set up, it's not in direction, because it's out of that line of, because I really believe that the eye and the way your body moves, there's a subtlety, and there's a kind of a built-in programming. So you could look at the sculpture and put it underneath, but then you kind of got to look down, you got to look up, you got to look down, you got to look up. So by shifting it to where it's now allows you to really stand back and see both planes at the same time, which is much more comfortable. It's like being on the net on a tennis court. Unless if you're really high up, you get that perspective. I mean, that's why they're box seats, so you see the whole field. Some people like the action, I know, and they get closer. This is a piece outdoors, and kind of, again, playing with a given site, with the tree, and since also this I just did last summer and had been dying to do it, and finally an opportunity came along to do it. And this is the same, it's just really dark, and the tree is in there somewhere. And it's also, I think with the outdoor works and the early works is creating the unexpected. Again, coming to that conversation, you wake up and you have breakfast, you go to work, and suddenly there's this one thing, like, there's a toll booth, and suddenly the toll booth's pink, then it's like, well, what happened, Who got a hold of the paint gun? And it's these little moments that I think, that are like surprises that also, kind of jog our memory to objects, places, and things, and people. This, again, like just objects that, this was at the Salina Philips light bulb plant for the fluorescent bulbs. And these are the tracks that the forklift makes, because they're on automated systems. So they literally make the same path. So this is how, over time, so it's kind of like I'm always going to say a fingerprint, but it's been 2 years of constant movement on the same spot. And these things also are really beautiful to me because they're there. It's the way, people polish a part of a sculpture that's in public, and it just takes, it's these little actions over a course of time that suddenly have an impact. Because, to polish bronze by hand takes years, and if you have thousands of tourists, you'll get it shiny, and it'll stay shiny because of the oils. But so these are for inspiration, hopefully, then for kind of like maybe transforming them into lithographs or other things, and kind of playing and where I get my inspiration from, and then moving forward. So these are the tracks. Now this is the glass, and these are literally, I think, 500 tubes stacked. These are 4-foot tubes, and this is just what they did, like the light coming through them. This is them stacked. So I was like, just give me 10, I'll put them in a gallery, it'll be great. Like, I just find them really, really beautiful because of the subtlety of light, and they really have a lot of breadth to them, and it's just, it's just raw material. So I got the bulbs, and then I started making these geometric shapes from there, and kind of, moving the work along, and kind of just, this was the studio, so just playing, and these little things, and then these all lead to, larger ideas, and, kind of figuring out how in the world are we going to do it. And then stuff like this, But to me, it's like coming off an exit, and it's for me, it's literally this space. It's not the signs themselves, but it's the space they carve out that suddenly, it's not just a skyline, it's semi-interesting, but it's because it's this negative. It's what the lines do around a given object, and why maybe certain things look better. I mean, you look at cars and clothing, and it's line, and that quality of line, and how that moves your eye through something, and across a given surface. And these are the lights. I mean, I walked in here and I was like, this is a piece of art, and it's totally economic design. I mean, it's basically 150 feet of fluorescent tubes in 4-foot intervals. But as you walk around the space, there's suddenly this really gorgeous display on the ceiling that probably no one noticed but me. But, yeah. And then these works, so I went from here, and then there's some of the works in the show, kind of just playing with that, is I started taking those images into Photoshop and then piling them up and creating larger works that then I would project and then cut out into these kind of drawings, I like to call them, but or die cuts. So the nice thing is you have this perspective built in, because for me to draw it, I could lay it out, or this was faster because this took long enough as is, versus to hand draw it and then cut it out. But there's a beautiful thing that just happens in the line that when you move a line a fraction of a measurement, which gives you the perspective, which creates all these really subtleties, so that you kind of see the perspective, and you can see the pyramid in these. And so these are just the pyramid with a couple lines removed, but then 4 of them in a circle and then cut out. And then this again, taking the buckets and trying to make more intimate works. But to have intimate works, you also have to have the time. And these residencies and opportunities like this are usually the only time I get to create work, because I work full time and then a lot. So I really cherish these moments to really take the time to really have a moment to just be with myself and see what I come up with. This is kind of, I think, towards the end, but yeah, just through these, most of these are in the show, but this is with color on the background, and I kind of wanted to show these, how they really change versus the more subtle ones that I have in the show, because I wanted more of that, because I knew they were going to be in a room with a lot of light works that I wanted them to kind of draw you in, so that they're hung in a specific style to kind of allow you to see them, but then you really have to get close and you can spend time with each image, and they're basically black on black. And then from those cutouts, because I try not to waste anything, I suddenly saw them on the paper, and then I started playing with those. So these are all the cutouts, which I think, because they're shaven into slightly different variances, they give you this depth of field that you wouldn't normally be able to lay out unless you had an object that was already pre-made. And so kind of just, and also happenstance, so some things, you turn a corner, you see something, and so this is how it all comes together for me. So thank you very much, and enjoy.